What's up, everybody? Welcome back. We are going to dive into another episode, but I also kind of want to give you guys a heads up of where I've been and what's going to start happening with the pod. Sorry. But yeah, I know it's been a minute. I know it's been like a couple months since episode 5. And honestly, in between episode 5 and now, I've really just been grinding at work. Your boy's trying to get promoted, trying to make more money to where get a new spot for, living in, and also for shooting, for recording. But that's pretty much it. I work, about 80 hours every 2 weeks. So, normal. But there has been times where I'm working 90 hours, 95 hours, 100 hours, picking up extra days. I'm working to open to close. And, people will be tired. Then on days off, I'll DoorDash and stuff like that, So it's just been busy, busy, busy. Other stuff that's been going on within like a week of each other, maybe 2 weeks of each other. We knew, so my aunt on my dad's side passed. Kind of knew she was sick for a while. And then, as everything happens, she unfortunately passed. And then, like I said, 2 weeks after that, my uncle on my mom's side passed. That one was more of a shock, but, still sucks. So I'm trying to be there for my mom. My dad and I had a falling out. Sorry, my work phone went off. But him and I had a falling out literally the same day that he told me my aunt passed. So, been trying to deal with that. So I've been obviously talking to my therapist about it, friends, hoopla, hoopla. But yeah, that's kind of where like that really has been. But I'm gonna try and, like I said, like I hate not being consistent for you guys. That's kind of why I've also been trying to post like the short form content on like Instagram and TikTok and obviously YouTube. I got the Meta glasses as you guys seen, so try to do some stuff like that. Obviously been touring apartments. I toured one here at my current complex. I toured another place. The other place I'm not gonna do. It's just way too expensive. The one I'm looking at here at my current complex, I'm kind of looking at two. Those are the same price as one another. One's a 1 bedroom, one's a lofted studio. So basically, they're both 1 bedrooms. Both have in-unit laundry, so we love that. But yeah, that's kind of where like I've been, but also while not being, in front of the camera. Also, been also kind of working on like getting guests and stuff. You guys don't have to hear my voice for 35 minutes, 40 minutes. You know what I mean? I can have another person, and get their opinion on like, the topics that we're talking about and stuff like that. So that'll hopefully be coming out very soonish. Yeah, I've got at least 6 people lined up, and those 6 people could be recurring guests. Still probably not gonna do a permanent co-host. Who knows? Might end up doing one, but just right now it seems like we're not. But yeah, I hope all has been well for you guys too. Yeah. But without further ado, let's kind of get cracking into this next episode. We just kicking it. Yeah, we kicking it. When we come to play, yeah, we winning it. We are here to stay, bringing our grit. We so sick with it. We just kicking it. Welcome back to Unscripted, where we unpack the quiet thoughts behind men's emotional lives And the last episode, we're talking about the loneliness and the fractured brotherhood. This week, you guys saw the thumbnail. We're going to be talking about intimacy. I feel like a lot of times people think intimacy just means sex. And obviously that's not true. So obviously we're not talking about just sex, not lust, but emotional closeness. The kind of connection that touches the soul. This is about the hunger men carry, the need to be seen, held, understood, and how we've been taught to silence that craving. Segment 1, more than physical. Society often teaches us that physical affection is the only form of closeness. So sex becomes a stand-in for emotional affection. And it's how men say, I need love without ever using the words, which I think is crazy. I feel like when you become a man and you're emotionally available, you can be like, hey, I don't need it. But intimacy is more than what happens in the bedroom. It's about presence, safety, and emotional transparency. I feel like if I can't be transparent with you, it's not going to work out. Like, yeah. Many men crave this, but don't have a language for it. Many men crave this, but don't have a language for it, or they've been hurt when they've reached out for it before, which really sucks. Because, I feel like as men, a lot of times we don't really ask for that, So I feel like, or we do and they just don't get it, or we ask for it, we get it, and then it turns into a problem. So, that's also kind of whack. So instead of asking for connection, they isolate, they numb. So instead of asking for a connection, we isolate, we numb, we perform. And I know you're probably like, CJ, what do you mean by you guys isolate or you guys perform? Or you guys get numb? A lot of times, being numb is just kind of like, for me at least, it's kind of going through the motions. And it's wanting, obviously, like, do I ask her for, a hug, or do I ask her to like sit down and listen to me vent? Obviously, sometimes people are like, oh, like, what's going on? Like, you can let it out, but like, it's been sometimes like, hey, do you mind if I do this? Like, hey, where's your emotional cup at? So can I, do this? But if you go back, if you don't have that safety, have that connection, is, well, I can't be, you, but I'm about to go tell like my closest friends, or, obviously my therapist, hey, this is what's been going on. So, I feel like also we ask for so long, and then after a while it's just like, what's the point? Fear of vulnerability. Segment 2. Why is emotional intimacy so hard for men? Because it requires vulnerability. And for a lot of us, vulnerability means danger. Like I said, like growing up, obviously, if we get hurt and we cry, we can't be vulnerable and show those emotions. That's, why are you crying? Stop crying. And it's like, all right, well, that sucks. Or, you date girl, you and girl break up. You're sad. Why are you crying? Get over it. Go get someone new. And it's like, bro, let me allow my emotions to process them and like go through them. If I gotta cry, I can cry. If I can be angry, I can be angry. But it's you not allowing me those emotions are what's wrong with me right now. But no one wants to listen to a man. It's not that we don't want to open up. It's that we never were taught how. Or worse, we've been punished for trying. Bro, see, And it sucks because it's, you know, we have to do so much. And I feel like obviously it's like also on us. Like, all right, we didn't get it as a kid, like growing up, but it's like, okay, if I want these things, I have to work towards those things. So I have to work on being able to listen without being angry, and I have to be able to listen without doing this, and I have to be able to speak and, you know it's okay to be vulnerable in those situations. That's why for me, I really enjoy going and doing public speaking. I haven't done it in a couple years, but I feel like when I give public speakings, when I'm doing public speaking, I'm able to, you know, I write my stuff down. Like I have a script every time. And most times I follow it pretty mostly it's more like bullet points. But it's just the fact of it gives me the chance to be vulnerable that I never got when I was younger. You know what I mean? Last time I did this public speaking event, like a real event, I was speaking at a youth group. One of my mentors, he was doing his thing, and I went with him, and I met one of the pastors, or he's a youth pastor. He was a youth pastor at this church. And he's like, tell me about yourself, CJ. And I kind of told my story, and I told him about my mental health, and I told him about my brother died, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. I had a kid at the time. I had, you know, just one kid at the time, and so on and so forth. And I kind of, you know, told him about the mental health part, and he was like, hey, you know, I'd really love for you to come and speak to the youth and blah, blah, blah. And at that point, I had been doing youth ministry a long time. So it was, for me, it was like, oh, cool. But I hadn't done like speaking like that in front of youth in forever. So obviously I'm nervous. And I remember, you know, getting introduced, and I was just like, and I remember just weeping, and I was like, one is more fully like grateful that God gave me the opportunity, but it was like, you know, getting that out so I could just like go. And I remember, it's actually one of my favorite pictures. I remember saying this quote. It's at the very end, and I was like, I didn't write this down. It was like the very end, and I've been talking about my brother, who I've talked about many times on the pod. Might do another short episode about that, but basically all I said was, I hope I made my brother proud today, and I think I did just that. And that's obviously how like I ended it, but that was just something that like I think every day that's something I strive to do. I strive to make like him proud, my kids proud, you know, everyone who's like walked with me in life proud, and then but yeah, just a lot of us as men now, we had to learn vulnerability. We weren't given the option of vulnerability. You know, we got the man up, don't be soft, don't be a bitch, blah blah blah. You know, for me it was a lot more cussing in my home. You know, not trying to cuss, as much on here, but hearing that stuff so often, you start to disconnect from a lot of stuff. You start getting hurt, and it's like, oh, I'm bleeding. You're like, hey, can you come to my thing? Cool. You say yes. You look up, they're not there. Like for me, I did a lot in high school. Like I played football, baseball, did ROTC, JROTC, bowling team, business school of business, so like going like doing kind of stuff. And I remember, every son wants their like father's approval. And I remember, every year of our high school in JROTC, we had like competitions. One of the bigger ones was in October, November, and like all of the schools from the state, like most of them from the state, we hosted it. And they would come to our school and we would compete literally from like 7 a.m. to 4. So it's like all day. Like you know how you have basketball tournaments and baseball tournaments and like cheer tournaments and all those kind of tournaments, bowling. It was that for us. And like we would, beginning of the year starts and we're getting teams together, who was doing what. And so freshman year I'm on the team. I'm like, hey, I really want you guys to come, my parents. They're like, all right, cool. Mom shows up. Super dope. But dad doesn't show up. I'm like, oh, that's kind of whack. Bro said he'd be here. Whatever. Sophomore year comes, I'm leading a team this year. I'm super excited. I'm like, hey, I really would like you to come. So again, mom shows up. He doesn't show up. Mom shows up to the smaller one. It's just us, Ottawa, and Creston. Again, doesn't show up. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of whack. But at that point, I'm used to it. I've seen this man come to games and then leave. I'm kind of used to it. Junior year comes, I finally play football in high school. My high school Creston closed for my Creston people, that was so whack. Well, then I went to Central, Innovation Central. They didn't have sports. I lived on the northeast side. I played for Union. Junior year. I'm like, hey, I really want you to come. Like, I'm telling you, so I'm pretty much doing this for you, bro. Like, and I remember it's just hot, super hot day in August. It's like 90 degrees or something with crazy humidity. And I look up, I see my mom, my grandparents, and he's not there. And I'm like, at this point, whatever. You see the pattern. Then senior year, he comes like one game, like half of the season. But like that game, I'm not playing because he ended up coming to a game my junior year because I ended up quitting the team my senior year. I was playing, and then the guy I replaced who was hurt, he came back. So the game he comes to, I'm not playing. And the entire time, he's just complaining. He's like, why isn't he playing? Why is he? Because I'm getting loose on the sidelines and, yeah. So like that kind of stuff hurt. But it's like, I can't tell him that, like, you hurt my feelings because you didn't show up. He's like, you didn't do nothing. Because I had that conversation at one point, and but yeah, hearing like the whole like man up, toughen up, BS is stupid, and then it's like you hear that stuff so much as a boy, it trains us to like disconnect from our own emotional needs and accept the rejection if they show them. Like, come on now. But without emotional intimacy, relationships become shallow, lonely, and confusing. Yeah, pretty much. Like, and you can, at least for me, like I could feel when it like became like not genuine. Like you're just trying to make it seem like you give a fuck and you really don't. Which is okay. Like if you don't care, then that's fine. But say that. Like don't sit here and BS me. Final segment. Segment 3. Relearning connection. Because again, like if you go, like I just said, like we go back and we have to train ourselves to basically want to be loved and like have that intimacy, So like, how do we change it? We start by acknowledging the need, you know, hey, you know, I'm the kind of person like, me and my significant other, like when we're in the grocery store, you know, I want to hold hands. I want to, quick smooch, you know, when we're chilling at the crib, like You can, put your head on my shoulder as, we're both scrolling on Facebook or whatever social media. I don't know. I feel like I've always seen this one and it kind of made me laugh. And I put a poll out on Snapchat like a long time ago, but it was, I asked the lady, it was more towards women, but it was like something I, feel like I wanted to know. It was, do you like it when your man is like, hey, do you want to come with me to go run errands? And every single, obviously there's more people who see this post versus like, responding to it. But most people are like, yeah, most women are like, yeah, you know, I want to be with my man. So I'm like, for me, like, I'm that kind of person. You ask one person, she'll probably be like, he's terrible, but fuck you. Respectfully, disrespectfully, actually. But yeah, we start by acknowledging the need. Emotional intimacy isn't weakness, it's nourishment, you know? Because a lot of us, we're providing, we're doing this, we're working, we're providing, we're doing all these things, but it's like, hey, bro, I'm doing these things. Tell me you love me. Just stuff like that. Like, for me, it's, I need to hear that kind of stuff. Like, I work so much that sometimes I'll be like, man, I hate it here. Or like, I start like really hating myself. So, hearing the person that I'm with say, hey, I love you. Like, for me, like, that's cool. Like, I need that. Or like, just like, I guess, like, people in my life. I feel like I talk about him every episode. My homeboy Wesley. Feel like every time we hang out, you know, it's always a love you gang or love you twin or love you bro. And for me, like, I don't think he knows how much I need that because there's some times in my life where I don't love myself, especially when I'm working so much. It's where like sometimes I'll forget to eat for the whole day, which is obviously bad, but you know, or like, like I said, I had a falling out with my dad, My mom called me a couple days ago and it sucks for this part because she's like, I miss you not coming around the house, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, part of me is like, and I've said this, I'm like, Mom, I have an apartment. You can come over, bro. Like, if you want to just come over and sit for like an hour or 30 minutes, whatever, like, that's fine. Like, I don't really care. Like, you can. Like, it's cool, bro. Like, come sit. Like, which sucks because obviously, like, having a falling out with him, I was admitted to where I can't go over there. I probably could. I say that, but I probably could, but just there'd be a lot of beef and a lot of drama that I don't need, and I don't need my mom stressed. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. But yeah. So like, yeah, for me, like that nourishes my soul a little bit. Or just hearing someone say, "Hey, just thinking about you. I'll be all right." But yeah, but yeah, practice about honesty and how you about what you feel. So if you feel like that's why I'm like, I try to be there for people. Like, hey, like, and give them like the room to be vulnerable. Because that's what I crave. I'm 28. I'll be 29 this year. I'm human. Like, I want to, make sure that I don't have to be all the time. You know what I mean? And then obviously seek friendships and relationships where it's safe to be soft. You know, I feel like I've had that in my life now, like with my extremely small group. Yeah. Obviously, there were people in my life before who I had to feel like I was on guard all the time. which sucked. Yeah. And obviously don't equate sex with safety because, anyone can be out here fucking. Like, be honest. Like, oh, you need a friend with benefits, no strings? Boom. But you're not getting anything out of it. Like, you're gonna get that, you're gonna get off, but it's like, well, like, what are we doing? But intimacy is being seen and loved in your rawest form. I don't care who you are, man, woman, you deserve that. You always have, you always will. To all my people in relationships, I hope him or her, they or them, he or she gives that to you on a daily basis. Flat out. And if they're not, have that conversation. Like, I feel like that's one thing that held me back a lot. Was I didn't have that. Well, no. Like, I would try to have that conversation and then it would cause a freaking argument. And I'd be like, what's the point? And then they get mad, I shut down. It's like, well, you shut down, I shut down. What's the point? But yeah, reaching for a connection that doesn't make you feel less of a man. It makes you feel more of a whole human. But yeah, because no one wants to feel like a robot. Because I feel like most times people equate men to robots. And it's like, no, bro, I have emotions. I like to feel loved, respected, valued. And if you can't do those things for me, why the hell are you in my life? There's the door. Smooth moonwalk your ass about the door and leave. But friends, family, acquaintances, we've come to the end of this episode. Like I said, like a lot of these episodes, if it's just going to be me, they're going to be shorter. Obviously, when we get more people on the couch, more people in the car, there are going to be probably longer episodes. Those probably going to be like an hour 20 maybe. Just could have real good dialogue. But in closing, men are not emotionally numb. They're emotionally starved. But the hunger can be fed with care, courage, and connection. Next time, on the next episode, we will be diving deep into anger and how it masks pain and what's really underneath the rage men carry. Until then, sit with yourself, ask yourself, what kind of intimacy do you long for? And remind yourself, you're worthy of love that holds you, not just touches you.
I just did it, now I'm winning, tell them spread the news. If you hate and get to stepping, but I'll bless you like I chew. On the move with the crew, stepping like a shoe. If you vibe, catch a ride coming through, ayy.